Good morning, everyone. I'm Melissa Russell, a member of the Kingstowne Communion, and I'm really happy to spend this time in Lent with you. Today, I'd like to talk to you about liminal spaces. So, what is a liminal space? A liminal space is, you could think of it as a segue into somewhere else, like a hallway, or a staircase, or an escalator, or the wardrobe in The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's what it is literally. And if you wanted to think about liminal spaces figuratively, and that's kind of where we're going to spend our time today, it's more like the in-between, right? So maybe from going from an old job to a new job. It's on our minds right now, right? Maybe taking a COVID test and waiting for the result, right? Maybe moving to a new town, and that kind of makes me think and remember our time in the Army. And you know, you'd be somewhere for a while, and then you'd know that you've been there too long, and the Army is going to give you orders and put you somewhere else, but you don't know where that new place is going to be until you get the orders. And then once you get there, you don't know where you're going to live, and so you post up in the BOQ for a while. So that's a liminal space. You know, you're stuck there, not sure if you're going to get housing on post or if you're going to go live out on the economy, and so that's kind of a liminal space there. Or, you know, one of the really fun liminal spaces is going down Lee Chapel Road, you know, from the Parkway, and there's this hill where it doesn't really matter, you know, you drive in the speed limit and you bob up and you kind of lose your tummy, and before you come back down again, that's a liminal space. Or a roller coaster, you know how you're going chug, 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 chug up the really steep incline, and then you crest the top, and it's just a moment before you go whoosh down. That's a liminal space. There's liminal space when you go parachuting, right? So you're in the plane with your parachute on, and you know, after you go to the door, and when your feet leave the deck of the plane and you just go out into the air and you're just kind of floaty flying there before anything really happens, right? That's a liminal space. You're totally out of control, right? Well, if you think about driving down Lee Chapel Road or being on a roller coaster and hopefully parachuting, you've done these things by choice, right? But what about when life does it to you, right? I mean, there are happy liminal places, like as you await the birth of a child, that's happy, right? Maybe what now after a divorce, or what now after the death of a loved one. And that knowing is fine, but the not knowing, from one place to the next, one leap to the next, we as humans aren't really wired to be comfortable with that, right? Because we want to control our outcomes. We want to make sure we land safely. We want to make sure that the roller coaster stays on the track, right? So what do we do? What do we do in those liminal places? How do we know how to behave and then between the knowing and the not knowing? Well, the Bible tells us. But it doesn't say, see, look here, Melissa, right here in the Bible, it's liminal place. Yeah, kind of got to look for these things. So in our two readings today, Luke chapter 9, verse 21 through 27, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he's kind of talking in that kind of mysterious sort of phrasing. And he says, look, here it is, guys. I'm going to be killed. In 3 days, I'm going to rise again. If you throw in your lot with me, if you follow the Son of Man, then you'll be fine. But if you think that you're going to save yourself, you won't be fine. You'll lose everything. So Jesus is really saying, give up control, surrender to me, and all will be well. You will be saved. So he's saying, rely on me, believe in me, right? He's kind of like that college professor you had that would stomp his foot when he was talking about something, and you knew right then and there, that is going to be on the final exam. Make note, right? Jesus was doing that. He was saying, look, if you think you're going to save yourself, you think you're in control of this and you're going to save yourself, you're not. You're going to be lost. Follow me. Surrender to me, right? And in our psalm reading today, Psalm 131, it's a song of David. And David knows that he doesn't know what's coming next. But David's okay with that in this particular psalm. And he says he's going to just lie here content, like a baby at a mother's breast, well fed, warm, snuggled up, safe. And he's going to be content to not know. So, as I was preparing for today's Lenten message, I Googled, because you can Google everything, right? I Googled liminal spaces and mental health, thinking, that's kind of anxiety producing. I wonder if anybody has opined on that. So I Googled it, and guess what they said? So the mental health experts do talk about liminal spaces and being in between and not knowing. And what they say is control the things you can, and the things you can't control, surrender to it. So isn't that interesting? So the Bible tells us to surrender, to have faith in God. Mental health experts tell us the same thing. Isn't it wonderful that God anticipated this need and provided for it if we knew how to look for it? And what do you do when you're in a liminal space? Think about that for a minute. Do you remember to trust God? Do you remember to give it up to God? That's something I struggle with, because I want to control everything, right? So, what knowing and not knowing are you experiencing right now? And do you feel like it's okay, it's possible, it's comfortable to rest there in the in-between? Let's pray. God, the space I find myself in is uncomfortable. It's frustrating. And I want to feel momentum forward, but I feel stuck in the unknowing, in the in-between, God. And while I wait for what's next, please be here with me. Give me a peace that makes no sense while we wait together. Amen. Y'all have a wonderful day.